Are you considering getting into real estate investing but not sure where to start? You've heard the stories, you've heard of others' successes, you've seen maybe the freedom that it has given them in their lives, but currently you're overcome by uncertainty and doubts. You're keen to establish yourself, you want to see those results in your own life, but something's holding you back. Well, don't worry, while getting started in real estate can be daunting, if you have the dedication and you're committed to it and you have a clear understanding of where most people fall over, then success is really, really possible for you. And that's what we're going to cover in this video is 5 things that you need to overcome in order to be successful. The 5 most common things that lead to people being unsuccessful in real estate investing, and for that matter, almost any other venture. So here are the 5 things you need to overcome if you want to be successful. Number 1 is procrastination. It is a debilitating habit that, if left unchecked, can just become a normal course of your life. If you allow procrastination to set in and you don't actively do something to overcome it, the chances of you succeeding are almost zero. How do I know this? Because I procrastinated for 15 years before I got started. I went to seminars, I went to all sorts of different courses, I read all sorts of different books. I was a self-development junkie, but ultimately I was procrastinating. Now, if that rings a bell to you, or if that seems familiar, hit the like button, because for me, it took a long time before I saw that. So one of the most effective ways to overcome procrastination is to set clear objectives and timelines, and then you need to stick to it. Now, easily said, how do you stick to it? You need someone to keep yourself accountable. Whether that be someone you trust, someone you know, whether it's a partner, whether it's your brother, your sister, your mother, your father, or a mentor, you need someone to share that with, because while writing it down on paper is really effective and definitely something you should do, it's the first step. If no one else knows about it, it's far too easy just to slip that aside and get busy today and think you'll get to it tomorrow. And that's one of the other most common things that has us procrastinate is we keep ourselves busy rather than effective. And that is a very clear distinction between the two, busy versus effective. Are you being busy or are you being effective? Being effective is doing those 1 or 2 things each day that are going to make the biggest difference. They are the 1 or 2 things that you are feeling most uncomfortable about doing, that you keep putting off until tomorrow. Well, the trick to overcoming procrastination is write those things down, set a clear deadline for them, and do nothing else until you have done those 1 or 2 things. That's how you overcome procrastination. The next thing is actually believing in yourself. Now, that may seem like a cheesy thing, but the fact is, if you don't believe you can achieve this, then you've failed before you even begin. Believe you can, and you can. Believe you can't, and you can't. Either way, you're right. Confidence is key. It allows us to make the decisions and take the risks that are necessary to achieve the future that we want. Now, there are endless supplies and books and courses you can do on how to build self-confidence, but there are 2 things that I would suggest to get yourself started. Number 1 is have a look at the people you are spending your time with. And I don't mean that in just an overarching way, just have a think about it. I mean write down the names of the 10 people you spend the most time with. And then next to them, answer the question, when you spend time with them, and more importantly, by the end of your time with them, do you feel uplifted and more confident? Or do you feel pulled down and less confident? And do that for every single person on that list. Now, the ones that are negative, you need to remove from your life, or at the very least, you need to significantly reduce the amount of time you spend with them. And I understand that that may not necessarily be that easy, because some of them may be family. Some of them may be the people that you love. Now, that doesn't mean you need to cut them out of your life, but it does mean you probably should spend less time with them and go less often. Because in order to succeed in anything, you need to master your thoughts. Notice there that the word I chose was master. Mastering your thoughts is not something you achieve overnight. Mastering your thoughts is something that will be a lifelong pursuit. I'm continuing to work on mastering my thoughts. Have I mastered my thoughts every moment of every day? Absolutely not. Do I have days full of self-doubt? Absolutely. Do I wake up some days and just feel like, oh, I can't do this? Absolutely. Do I go to bed some nights and think, there's just no way I can achieve those goals? Absolutely. It happens to everybody. So it's not a question of do they come up? It's a question of how long do you allow them to hang around. So mastering your thoughts is improving on that every day. Figuring out ways to be more up than down. And when you do go down, which we all will at times, not spending as much time there. So outside impacts absolutely play an impact on our thoughts. We are constantly getting bombarded with negative information. So if you don't take control of the information that is going into your mind, then your chances of mastering your thoughts are almost nil. So not only do you need to choose the people you're spending time with, but you need to think about the information that is going into your mind. You need to choose that selectively. You need to choose what books you read. You need to choose what things you are hearing, whether it's just the rubbish on the radio or whether it's positive audio books, for example. Shape your future by shaping your mind, and shape your mind by what you allow to go into your mind. If you think of any of the most successful people that have lived on this planet, all of them had a very clear picture and belief that they could achieve what was in that picture. So that leads on to the next point, is what is in that picture for you? What is your ultimate goal? Because if you're not actually sure what you're hoping to achieve, then the likelihood is you're not going to get there. Because if you don't know where you're going, then any road will do. You need to get clear on what that future looks like, and I mean in crystal clear detail. Because if you haven't got that yet, then you don't even know what you're working towards. So spend the time first getting clear on what is all this about? What are you hoping to achieve? And be able to describe it in such detail that it's like a script for a movie or a script for a painting. So when someone listens to that script, that they could just paint that picture or create that movie. You need to be that clear on that, and don't just throw that away. Read that to yourself every morning, every night. Personally, I record it on an audio and I listen to that myself, because what voice do I trust more than my own? Yeah. Write him, become him. Write her, then become her. So get really clear on what that end picture is, and then create milestones along the way. Smaller, achievable goals, targets with set timelines. Now, sometimes when we do that, it gives us the impression that that goal is much further away than we'd like it to be. But here's the reality. If it's going to take you 5 years or 10 years to achieve financial freedom, my question to you is, how old would you be in 10 years even if you don't achieve financial freedom? So you may as well lay out this roadmap and start working towards it, step by step. How do you climb a mountain? One step at a time. And that is the same for any goal. So get clear on what that end picture is and then build the roadmap towards it. And if the thing that comes up for you is, I don't know how to do it, that's fine. That's where we all start. But don't use that as an excuse to let yourself off the hook. If that's your dream and you're committed to it, then stick to it. Part of that roadmap then is finding out, how do I do it? Get yourself a mentor that has already done it. So ultimately, if you want to succeed, first you need to get really clear on what it is you're hoping to succeed with. And finally is self-image. Self-image is arguably the most important of all of these, because our self-image plays a huge role in how we navigate our way through this world. You cannot outperform your self-image. You cannot outperform your language. It is what boosts us up on good days, and it is what pulls us down on bad days. There have been experiments done, and it has been proven that our brain cannot distinguish between a physical threat and a threat on the way we see ourselves, our self-image. So if you think of a physical threat, a tiger running towards you, now that is a real threat to your survival. Now your body is going to kick in fight or flight. Well, science has shown that our body and our brain reacts, the same neurons fire when it is a threat to our self-image. So if you ever felt yourself working really hard towards your goal, but then for some unexplainable reason, you take the foot off the throttle, or you self-sabotage, or you start taking steps backwards, it is most likely your self-image that is causing that, because your brain is seeing you deviate from what it knows you to be. So until you can shift that self-image, you're going to keep gravitating back to what you've always been. So the first thing is to identify where are the conflicts between your current self-image, and you need to be really, really honest with yourself there, and who you ultimately see yourself or want yourself to be. Because we first need to identify those conflicts, then you can work to overcome those and shift those. Because if you don't do that, you are always going to get pulled back to your self-image. If you're wondering what your self-image is, have a look at your life right now. That is your self-image. Exactly how you are now is exactly how you see yourself. So if you want your life to look like anything else, first you need to shift that self-image. How do we shift our self-image? There are a number of ways, but a couple of the simple tips that I'll give you today is, number one, like I mentioned before, write him, then become him, or write her, then become her. You need to do that every single day, every single night before going to bed. You need to put that picture, that movie into your mind like it is already a reality. That may sound funny, that may seem strange. I resisted it for a long time, but you will find it is amazing after doing it, even for just a few nights or just a week, how emotionally involved you get with that picture, because you start seeing yourself in the picture. Again, your mind cannot differentiate between the reality and what we're constantly putting into our subconscious. It sees that as reality. And the other one is goal cards. Now, you need to get your emotions involved in these. I'll do some other videos completely on those topics. I'll do some other videos covering this in more detail, but the key is you need to imprint that information, that reality onto your subconscious mind and do it with emotion. The more you do that, the more connected you will get, and then the more you will find your self-image pulls you towards those results. So in summary, guys, you absolutely can achieve the goals that you've set out for yourself, but first you need to know what they are. You need to be dedicated, you need to be committed, and you need to be willing to be courageous. And that is a big one because ultimately, most people stop because of fear. Courage doesn't exist without fear. Courage is quite simply choosing to act regardless of the fear. You are going to need courage, including just when you're having these conversations with yourself and doing the self-analysis, getting really clear on what it is that is actually stopping you, what you are afraid of. I was afraid of becoming a small fish in a big pond. I was afraid of losing significance that I built up in my life, in my previous lifestyle. I was afraid of what success might do to the relationships that I had in my life. But with patience, persistence, and perseverance, every beginner can make a success of themselves in real estate investing or whatever it is you're wanting to put your hand to. So again, overcome procrastination, get a clear plan, get clear on your goals, be really careful on who you spend your time with. Believe in yourself and work on your self-image. Until next time, guys, invest safely.